Well, welcome everybody. I love it when I get a full screen right away. You guys have been waiting patiently. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Really, really excited to be here with you guys today. I noticed that I was really proud of all of you because you did your 5 to 7 stories a day. I looked at that and I'm like, wow, you guys are impressive. So congratulations on doing that. I know that was a shift for many of you, and you took it really, really well. So without further ado, I want to just turn it over to Roger so we can jump right into all the good stuff.
Sounds good. Thank you, Melissa. So fun to be with you guys this morning, afternoon for some of us already. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things, some observations that I had this week as I watched you guys and looked at the results. I always really get excited about, Sunday midnight time to look at the results and what you guys have accomplished and reported for the week. Um, First of all, I want to just share. Could you believe that story that I sent you guys about that uncut diamond that was found, like that $40 million diamond that was found in Africa? I thought that was so cool. I thought, do diamonds still get found today like that? Like that was just discovered last week. And it just, I thought the timing was so appropriate given what Kristen shared from stage about pawTree being an uncut diamond, and she's got a trained eye and she sees it. And when I saw that, that block, I just couldn't resist sending it to you guys. When I saw that block, that rock, I mean, it looks beautiful. I mean, it looks nice, but I would have never in a million years, if somebody said, name the stone, I would have never imagined that was a diamond. It just didn't look like a diamond. It hasn't been cut, and it doesn't look like the way I see diamonds in rings and earrings and things like that. So I thought that was really appropriate to share. I hope you guys saw that photo and hopefully connected it back to what we are doing right now to invest in this wonderful uncut diamond and have the opportunity to do something very special with your pottery business with the added effort that you guys are putting in. I also, a couple other observations. I love to see that I look at those results, and one of the things I wanted to comment about the results that you guys may have noticed yourself, and this might not be true for every single person, but if you remember last week, we really focused on the actions, not just the what you need to do, but how to do it. Kristen really upped the game on the number of stories that she asked you guys to do. Many of you did it. I mean, it was a huge leap for a lot of you, I'm sure, to take, to go from maybe doing none or very few to doing 5+ per week per day. It's a big jump. But here's something I thought was really interesting. And we're going to talk a little bit today. I know Kristen's going to talk a little bit about um, kind of the ROI on the investment. And sometimes, you put the effort in and the results come a little bit later, which is definitely true in my experience in almost everything in my life. You put the effort in first, the results come later. They don't always come, just literally at the same moment. But one thing I thought was super cool, I looked at the new PV from the whole group this past week. And you guys know you had, from what was reported last week to what was reported this week, was a 30% increase in new PV. So I thought that was a cool sign. And again, I'm sure there are stories that on both ends of that, right? Some people who would say, they had a lot more new PV personally, and some who might say I had less new PV last week than the week before. And that's fine. I just thought it was interesting as a macro trend as we kind of look at the results and what you guys are accomplishing. I thought that was a super fun insight to see. Um, and then the other thing that I thought was really cool is just the commitment. Again, I just keep coming back to the commitment that you guys made to yourselves, most importantly, and also the commitment that you made to me, which was to do two things. And that was it, to work full time in your pottery business and do it for 90 days and let the results follow, right? And that when I look at the results that you're posting in terms of your hours worked, I'm really impressed with the effort that you guys are putting into your pottery business. Angela Duckworth said in that book, grit, that I keep referring to week after week, Again, you can read it, but if you don't want to read it or take the time to read it because you got too many hours in your day to focus on your pawTree business, I'll summarize it with a few quotes. And one of them is that effort counts twice. And she's got a mathematical formula why she shows that effort counts twice. And so you guys are putting in the effort and you're getting double the counting of the effort that you're putting in, according to her in that book Grit. So I'm impressed with that. I'm impressed with you guys. I'm impressed with your willingness to stick with it. I'm impressed that we're now, I saw Beth, I think, posted at the beginning, happy week 4, right? And or 27 days, I think she said. So 27 days in, and there's still a lot of time left to continue to put that effort in and then see the results follow. And we'll get into that a little bit today, but just wanted to kick it off by saying, we got a diamond. It's amazing. You guys are doing a great job investing in that diamond. You're putting the effort in. Effort counts twice. And I can't wait to see what happens as you continue to put that effort in consistently for 90 days and just watch the impact that it will have. So with that, Kristen, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let's jump in and see how we can help everybody be even more effective with their full-time commitment that they've made this week versus last week.
Awesome. Fantastic. I'm so proud of all you guys. I love seeing some of your wins that you're putting through in the group. And I think I heard that someone made executive director, whoever that was. Huge shout out to you. That is fantastic. I just want that. It's really important that that you guys don't get caught up in comparison here, because it's very easy to be like, wow, that person just did like $800 in sales and I'm not there. It's really important to understand the foundation from which you start, and you all started in different places. So if you were somebody that just wasn't having conversations, you weren't working the social media space, and you came in brand new to this, what you're doing is you're creating a foundation to work from. So you didn't really have something to start with. So your progress is going to look slower and different than somebody who already was networking, who already had some presence in the online space. So I find comparison never ever serves. So just remind yourself, and we're going to talk a little bit about like expectations versus reality. And I think sometimes when we are tempted to give up, slow down, or say, what's the point? It's because we have unrealistic or unhealthy expectations, because we're not taking into account like our starting point. So some of you are seeing people skyrocket in this, well, because they were already doing some of the habits and they just turned up the volume dial. I think I've talked about how this business is a volume dial and not an on and off switch. A lot of people are like, I'm either working my business or I'm not. It's on or it's off. It's like, no, I'm always working. It's just that right now the volume's up to an 11, right? And so it's important that you guys understand, like, all right, I'm building a foundation. So it's going, for those of you who started from almost nothing, I want you to see the value in the effort that precedes the results, because effort always comes first and then you see the results. Okay. Conversations always precede the sales, which means for a while, it's going to feel like all you're doing is talking to people, wondering where the sales are coming from. I want you to know that is such a normal feeling. But most people in that feeling, is they start telling themselves the story, it must not be working, therefore I'm going to stop. It does not work that way in the realm of sales. And this is a relational business, and people want to have relationship with you or have some sense of trust, and that doesn't happen overnight. So it's okay. And someone just said, I've seen huge social media growth by learning how to use it through what you're learning here. Huge. I think someone even said, I'm having more conversations simply because I was showing up in stories more. All of these are indicators that sales are coming, so long as you do not stop the activity. The only way sales don't happen is if you stop the activity. And here's the thing, is most people quit before the magic of compounding efforts turn into compounding results. That's when most people quit. And I'm actually going to show you this in the graph, in a graph, and it's called, this is in the book, one of my favorite books, Atomic Habits. It's a phenomenal book. But this is something called, hold on here. We have our, ugh, I'm missing a wheel from my whiteboard, so it might like be kind of tippy. Okay. So this is like your sales, and this is the time. We have like our timeline, and this is our expectation when we start this business, is we tend to think, awesome, the amount of time I put in is equivalent to the amount of sales, and we think it's a very linear progression. If only. Business would be a million times easier. This is our expectation of how it actually is. But the reality of it, I'm going to use a different color marker. The reality of it is actually closer to this. This is called right here. So this is, you see this slope, okay? Look at what's happening over time from about here to here. It doesn't feel like a lot is happening. Look, if we just kind of want to see what's happening with our sales here, right about here. And look at what's happening in that. This is when we're saying nothing's working, nothing's happening. Now, right here, I want you to know what this is called. This graph is called this is called latent potential, meaning that potential is always delayed. Your results are always delayed. And then we have something right here where the magic happened. This is where the compound where it just takes off, where it's like, oh, it finally makes sense. This is where you feel like minimal effort, maximum pay. This is when this is the sweet spot of direct sales. This is what everybody talks about. Like, oh, once you get here, this is when you're sipping a Mai Tai at the beach and you're seeing sales emails coming and being like, so-and-so just upped their order. So-and-so just put their order in. Everybody wants this without putting in the time to get there. So what this is called right here, and I want to just, and for those of you who are my students in my programs, you're very familiar with this because it's what I talk about. This gap right here between the expectations versus your reality, that disparity is known as the valley of disappointment. And this is when people give up. They're like, because their reality and their expectation, there's such a gap. They're like, something must be wrong, almost always. And so in that, we're just going to call it the valley. I've even heard people call it like the valley of despair. And this is when everyone quits. This is when they're like, it must not be working right about here. Actually, because that's when it starts to climb. We're not going to do it. Right about here is when I see most people throw in the towel and say, it's not working. Okay. And then here's what happens, guys. Have you ever tried to pop a bag of popcorn and then open it up before the first 2 minutes? What happens? Nothing. Like, it's just heat and you're just watching. You're like, is it going to go? And then finally you hear pop, pop, pop. But imagine if you opened the microwave door every 30 seconds and you're like, what? Why isn't the bag popping? Why isn't the bag popping? Like, you're just interrupting the process of continued heat. It has to have continued heat. Or imagine like preheating your oven. Imagine opening your oven every 5 minutes being like, why isn't my oven hot? It's taking longer because you're disrupting the compounding effects. So with the same thing, here's the thing, guys, is right here is when I see people quit. Because they're like, it must not be working. Okay. And then they get inconsistent or they post here and there. And then life happens again. Maybe they go to PawFest. Maybe they watch a training. Maybe they see somebody else get some wins and they're like, you know what? That's it. I'm doing it again. I'm going to try this again. So guess where they have to start? Because their market cooled off. They have to start right back here at the beginning. And guess what happens? They get here, same story. It must not be working. Do you know how many people I see here just do this their entire social selling career and wondering why they never actually see sales? Because they've actually conditioned themselves to quit when the results don't happen fast enough. They believe every time it must not be working instead of, hold on, if I understand this graph correctly, is eventually what's going to happen is I move through this resistance, if I move through this barrier, if I move and I stop telling myself the story that it's not working and I understand this is about compounding returns, is here's what eventually happens. This spot right here, look at what happens right in here. Look at how it's almost like your growth becomes exponential. And I notice almost every time, guys, this right here is about 90 days. It's about 90 days, almost every single time. Every single time. And I notice, and depending on the volume of how hard you go, and I know you guys have been committing, and this is why I've been like saying, hey, let's increase your intensity, increase the volume. This can actually start happening around day 45 is when I really start seeing it compounding. So your job is to look for small evidence that it's actually beginning to work. So if someone is liking your post that hasn't noticed your social media ever, small evidence. If somebody's interacting with you that you haven't interacted with in years, small evidence, right? If someone is showing interest in your stories and they haven't talked to you in forever, small evidence. If you've noticed your story views have gone from 5 people to 100 people, that's massive evidence. Why? Because visibility has to increase before sales. So if you're seeing visibility increase first, the natural conclusion you can get to is inevitably with visibility and consistency, I am bound to get sales. It is inevitable. I like to think of, so from here, friends, this is often how it is. And I want you to notice this. I want you to see, instead of time, we can do time. I like to actually view it like this. I'm just going to redo my chart here, but I'm hoping this is clicking for a lot of you so that you have faith in the process. And I have, again, I've seen this time and time again, guys. Like, it's in my years and years of doing this, like, I have nothing but evidence that proves this. Okay. This is what I've noticed. Let's even put this here. I'm going to say, instead of time, I'm going to say number of posts and maybe even number of conversations started. All you're doing from here to here is, I'm going to call this filling the funnel. This is where you're spending the time getting people into your funnel, into your space. And then eventually you do hit a saturation of the funnel where finally you hit tipping point. And here is when we have consistent conversion. This is when there's going to be quiet for a while. Why? Because you're filling the funnel. And then eventually over time, it's going to tip. And what you're going to start seeing is a steady, consistent flow of new pet pros and new customers. And you are going to think it's come out of nowhere. You're going to be like, suddenly I have a trickle of everything. It's like, no. It's because finally we're finally like the water from upstream has finally made its way downstream. And now it's a consistent trickle. Oh, that makes so much sense. But most people quit in the filling the funnel and they never get to reap the rewards. Is this landing for everybody? Okay, does this give you encouragement to keep going? Even when you feel like, okay, why am I not having big sales yet? I promise you, because you're here. You stay here. It is inevitable you will get here. I'm going to teach one more thing, and then we're going to move into a little bit more work time. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the PBO tonight on how to maximize that. But I want to talk about the belief scale. I like thinking of this as the belief scale. Anytime we start with a goal, especially when we don't have evidence of having achieved the thing yet. So maybe you're like, I want to run a half marathon. Well, the first thing you have to build belief in is that you can get off the couch and walk a mile. Right? And so it's just like, how do I build belief in what's possible for me first? And so anytime we start with a goal, it feels impossible for us. It's the phase of impossible. It's like, I've never done it before. I don't have any evidence. So then we work on like, well, where can I create evidence that it might actually be possible for me? That is always the first belief that we have to get to, is just like, okay, it feels impossible. What's the first step I can take to start believing this is possible for me? Some people, we get too caught up in the marathon and being like, I got to go out and run a marathon now. It's like, no, how about you just walk a mile first? Awesome. Now we can build some belief. All right, cool. Let's do a week of walking a mile. Now we're going to do okay. And then inevitably what we find is we start to build self-trust and be like, okay, now that I am somebody who can walk a mile, I'm starting to believe it's possible. If I can walk 1 mile, I can walk 3 miles. If I can walk 3 miles, I can walk 10. And we start to build our belief. Friends, I'm not asking you to believe in $1 million in sales for yourself. I'm asking you to believe in the possible, like, ask yourself, what's the next possible step that I can build evidence on, that I can compound this? And once we've stacked enough evidence in what is possible, then we hit the magic spot of when our goals finally feel inevitable. Like, it's happening. It's no matter what, so long as I keep going, what once felt impossible will become inevitable for me, so long as I stay in the behaviors and the habits. That's the thing, guys. If you stay in the habits, what used to be impossible becomes inevitable. Okay. And I think the graph proved that to you. Do you understand that? Like, so long as we don't disrupt the consistency and we allow ourselves to truly compound our efforts, that's when magic happens. Okay. Cool. I hope that gave you some encouragement for any of our friends that are like, but I'm lagging and I'm not seeing as many results as others. Be wary of the story you tell yourself. Ask yourself, is that a story that serves me, that gets me excited to work? Or is it a story that has me wanting to, get a bowl of ice cream and watch Netflix? Ask
I love
yourself.
that. I love that, Krista. I think that's so powerful. I think it's so smart. I love that you're teeing it up today that way for, I'm sure not everybody feels like that, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who can easily feel like, okay, I've put in the time. I've done this now for 3 or 4 weeks, right? I've done this and I'm not seeing the results. And I just think it's very smart. It's accurate information you're sharing. And I think it's very smart that you're doing that at this stage to help all of us to recognize the effort it does pay off, but it's got to be consistent. I love the popcorn analogy too, because I love popcorn, first of all. So I know how to make it. I've made it a lot of times. And I'm sure if I pop that door open in the middle of the making of the popcorn, it's not going to be the best batch. Not only does it mean it takes longer, but it probably means I've almost like, shot myself in the foot on that bag. I almost have to start over. And so
Yes.
that idea of consistency and, which is also why, coming back to you guys, why the commitment was full-time for 90 days. It wasn't full-time and see how it goes for a week or two. It was full-time for 90 days. And I'm so proud of you guys for putting that effort in. And I can't wait to just continue on this journey. So anyway, Kristen, just wanted to validate what you were saying there and
Yes.
express my enthusiasm.
Yeah, thank you. And I also want to say, Angela, you've gotten 100 new friend requests and followers in the last week. That is evidence, friend. She's like, I couldn't understand why. If you've been in conversations and doing the work, that is evidence that it is in fact working for you. So huge, Angela. Be really proud of that. That's 100 people. They're saying, I'm interested in knowing you as a person and I'm interested in observing your content. So that's fantastic. Like, again, remember with the chart, we get to a place where we think it happens overnight or suddenly out of nowhere. And if it feels like that, it's really evidence of the compounded efforts you've put in and you've hit the tipping point. So good. All right. 897 new followers, Caitlin, in the last 27 days. You guys, these are extraordinary wins. I'm so proud of you. Please feel free to keep sharing because I'm saying this, visibility always precedes the sales. So for me, all I'm seeing is evidence of the inevitability and the growth of this group. I'm really excited. All right. So what we're going to do next is, as you guys know, tonight is the PBO that Amy and I are running together. I'm excited to do that with you guys. I'm actually going to be talking about the analogy of the uncut diamond because if you have people that you are bringing, because again, what we've been doing the last 27 days is filling the funnel. We talked about why so many conversations was so vital in the past week so that you can have more people coming to the event. And so with that, I want to talk about what I'm going to be working on is I know that some people that you're inviting maybe have never been in the direct sales space. So it's really important, I always think, to not use too much insider language that doesn't translate to the everyday person. So what I'm going to be doing is creating like very everyday language so that the everyday person feels like they belong at pawTree. And they're not like, oh, I don't understand direct sales language. I don't understand like comp plan and residual and like we have to think about what is language that they understand. And I'll be doing that tonight. And I want you to like be excited, take notes and be like, okay. And also at the end of it, I'm going to be covering the main objections that you guys often hear from the front so that you feel teed up for great conversations afterwards, so that all you can do is say, well, you heard her talk about the time, you heard her talk about money, you heard her talk about why now, like what resonated for you. So really you just get to kind of use what I've said as a tool to facilitate your conversation. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about how to help this event be a great conversion event for you, meaning we take our conversations and we convert them into happy customers and specifically pet pros. Okay. So let me just share my screen here. All right. Boom. Here we go. Leveraging the PBO for success. All right. Like I said, ooh, I think someone's mic is on. We good? All right. Conversion event for current conversations. Again, this is where we've been filling our funnel faithfully for the last 27 days. We're still not even at the compound effect. I expect double to triple attendance at the next PBO we all do together. Why? Because you've been filling the funnel even more so. Again, we're compounding. So I want that to excite you. So if for you, I want you to account your wins as wins. So if you're like, I'm only getting one person there, well, it's one more than you had last time, or maybe you've never had somebody there. I want you to celebrate the win. I gave you a target of 10 people. This isn't to shame you. Our targets are always used to inform us of the intensity of our daily actions. If it's like, so if you were to say, Kristen, get one person to the event, my action is going to be like, all right, I'll have a conversation with a couple people. But if I was to say, okay, get 10 people to the event, that informs how my actions look. It means, okay, I'm going to have more conversations. I'm going to talk to more people. So it's not to shame ourselves. It's to inform the intensity and the direction of our actions and habits. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, cool. So celebrate whoever you get there. I want you to just focus on your wins and just trust yourself. So long as I stay in the habit, I'm going to have more people next time than I will this time. I'm going to keep going. Okay. So before the event, if you guys have not already made a post on your personal feed, do not use a graphic. Stop it. You can do that in a customer group. That's great. But on your personal feed, people want to see your smiling face with your cute fur baby. Okay. This is where you want to talk about, hey, tonight, there's this extraordinary opportunity. I would love for you to be there. You want to talk about, this is where you're presenting like, hey, tonight is don't PBO, that's insider language. Don't say come to a PBO, because the average person's like, I don't know what a PBO is. Say, come to a business overview to learn about an investment opportunity, especially if you are a pet lover, and why now is the most ideal time for you to have an online business from home in the pet space. Why now? Everybody write down. Why now is the most ideal time for you to have an online business from home in the pet space. You guys, this is the sweet spot. And then share a little bit of your story. This is what it's done for me. I was just, again, make it relatable. Be like, I was just somebody who loved their dog, loved fur babies, cared about the quality food, and cared about other people taking care of their animals. Turns out I can make money doing that. If that even resonates with you, let me know. I'll send you the link. Here's the info. But you guys, also, every conversation you've been having, don't be afraid to come back and be like, hey, I'm not sure if we've had this conversation yet, but I keep thinking of you, and here's why. Remember, I encouraged you guys and challenged you guys that your low-hanging fruit is your happy customers. Happy customers make the best pet pros. Why? Because they have testimony, they have experience, they have the highest belief in the product. They just don't know about the uncut diamond. And the good news is I'm going to be presenting that tonight. I'm going to be teaching that in a way where they're like, oh, I get it. Okay, this makes sense. Okay. Post on your feed. Go in your stories today, guys. You've learned all about how to show up in your stories, like your morning coffee, feeding your dogs. Show your face, my friends. Show your face and be like, hey, guys, happy Tuesday. I'm actually so excited because tonight, if you guys don't know what I do, I have an online business from home in the pet space. I advocate for pet owners and pets. It's amazing. And I get to pay for my groceries, or like, guys, say what pawTree does for you. Help that. Don't just say it's an online business. Say it allows me to have the best quality pet food for my pets at no cost to me because of just sharing with people. Or it's like it pays for my sport events. Or hey, We just got all of our back to school supplies because of my work with pawTree. How amazing is that? And if you are interested in learning about what that looks like, I'd love to invite you. And you guys can have a link, a clickable link on there, have info, be like, reach out to me or comment with a puppy emoji, comment with a heart emoji, and I'll send you the info. Okay. But explain in a couple slides. I want you to use at least three stories, and stories are about a minute each, of why you want to share the who, like, hey, it's with pawTree, where it's going to be an online event. What is it? Well, it's an opportunity to learn about the business, starting an online business. When, here's the when and the why of it. Why is it so exciting to be a part of this? Why are you looking forward? Friends, you are not bugging anyone by giving them an opportunity to better their life. If anything, I want you to be like, my silence is selfish. My silence is actually preventing somebody from like potentially finding the solution, not just to caring for their pet, but, you know, improving the quality of life for themselves at home. You know, financial guys, people are in real financial dire straits right now. And I think it would just be the biggest disservice to stay quiet about that. People are hurting. The economy is hurting. And I feel like people, they love their pets and they're never going to make cuts with their pets. They just don't, which is why this is the most lucrative business opportunity. Okay. Also, just because people said that they were coming, your job is to personally reach out and remind every single person who said they were interested with a personal and heartfelt message. Hey, Sarah, I'm so glad to have you come to the pawTree business overview tonight. This is what it's just a quick reminder. This is what to expect. It's only going to be, I mentioned this at the bottom. It's only going to be about 30 minutes. We want to be really respectful of your time, but also if you could make time 15 minutes afterwards, so I'm going to make myself available to answer your questions. I have a feeling most of your questions will be answered, but 15 to 30 minutes after, I'm going to make myself available to answer your questions and help you and serve you in whatever that looks like. Okay. So again, if you want people to make the time, give them a reason to carve out the time. Say, hey, this is what you can expect. I respect your time. This is why I'm excited you're there. Here's the details. Let me know if I'm so excited to see you there. Okay. This is where you can also start. Like, I don't know how many of you have like the number of people, but it might be fun if you have 2 or more people. Start a little group chat. Be like, hey, I'm actually going to have a fun little group chat with anybody that I invited. And I'll just kind of be talking with you guys. Like, I'll just kind of check in with you guys after the event, especially, or team leaders. Team leaders, I'm looking at you. If your whole team is like collectively bringing 20 people in, don't be afraid to start a group chat and be like, hey, bring everybody in. That way the team leader can maybe answer some questions. So it's serving everybody in there. It's easy to get 3-way chats. I just want you to think about, where can I leverage third-party tools wherever possible so that you do not bear the burden of believing you have to be the expert. You do not have to be the expert. Everyone write it down. I do not have to be the expert. I do not have to have all the information. All I need to know is where to point people. That's it. And if you can point them to a team member, if you can point them to a presentation, that's all it is, friends. You're just pointing. You're just being a resource, okay? You don't have to be an expert. You're just a resource, okay? Prepare for 3-way conversations. So this is great. For those of you, like some of you might feel very confident and self-assured, like, hey, I know exactly what to say. I've been doing this a long time. I feel comfortable and confident with everybody I've talked to. If you are not feeling that way and you're like, oh my gosh, what if they ask me this and I don't know how to answer this, or I'm nervous, this is a perfect time to connect with your upline or your sponsor, whoever brought you into the business, your team leader, and say, hey, can I tap you for 3-way chats tonight? Should somebody have questions? And I'm gonna walk you through that in the next slide here for during. I also want to offer this. So preparing for 3-way combos, that means talk with your team leader. Hey, are you going to be there tonight? Can I start 3-way chats with you for people that have questions so that you can be my third-party tool to help validate and sign somebody up tonight? Okay. Here's what I want to offer. If you are, again, you are a business owner, if you are able to, I would emphasize the importance of live attendance. Don't even say, guys, don't even say, oh, but if you can't catch the replay. because people are always going to fall back on the replay, be like, come live, so excited for you to be there. In fact, for people that I've personally invited, I'm doing a drawing for a free bag of treats, or, I'm going to pay for your shipping. I want you to think about, how can I incentivize them to be there live? Okay. It could be like, I'm doing a free bag of treat raffle, whatever, for my friends that I've invited. And hey, if you're the only one, sounds like you're winning, right? So there's that. Okay. If you are able to do that, or if your team leader is able to do a raffle for the team, great. I don't want to put anybody in financial dire straits, but also sometimes we just have to be like, where am I willing to invest in my business and invest in earning a consumer's trust to ensure that they're going to come in? Okay. Having that posture of abundance and not scarcity, being like, whoa, I can't give up $5. You never know. Generosity begets generosity. Okay. Let's talk about during the event. Participate in the chat. Now, guys, I've seen it a little bit in the chat in here. Sometimes you guys go sideways and you have little side conversations. I want you all to do your best to keep the conversations centered on what's happening in the presentation. And what's going to happen is I'm going to be watching the questions very clearly. And at the end, I'm going to be answering objections. But I think it's so important that you guys emphasize points being said, like if someone's like, and we have a very great compensation plan, put evidence in the chat, like, amen to that. Pay my mortgage with this. Or, yes, this is so wonderful. We paid all of our dog's vet bills. Or, oh, this is so amazing. It was a secondary stream of income for our breeding business. That was because we only make money on the sale of pups, not the ongoing life of the pups. But with pawTree, we actually continue to make money through the life of every dog we sell. Amazing. Don't be afraid to talk about that in the comments. Why? Because people want proof of concept. And the more evidence there is in the chat, the more it looks like because here's the thing, guys, you could be on there thinking, oh no, everybody on here is a pet pro. There's not enough new people. The new people don't know who pet pros are and who's not. They just see a crowd of people excited to be there. And so this creates a natural sense of FOMO where they're like, oh, everybody's really excited to be here. What am I missing out on? They lean in, they ask questions. They're like, wow, everyone's real excited. This must actually be a thing. So don't get in your head and being like, oh no, there's a lot of pet pros commenting. I want you to mind your insider language. Think about how are we collectively as a group selling every new person that's on this call. I want you to think about, like, hey, maybe you only got one person there and somebody else got 5. I want you to think about, how can I show up in a way that helps everybody win? Because if Sarah signs 5 people, that only helps me. Because why? Because that's 5 more people out there talking about how amazing pawTree is, and that's going to serve me. I want you all to think about this as a collective experience. I will tell you guys this. We have to stop thinking about personal momentum and being like, how do I get to the top? When you think about the collective of pawTree, the way you get momentum as an individual is when you're in a company that has momentum, a company that everybody's winning. And when that is what starts to seep out, people outside the industry take notice. They're like, what's going on over there? What's going on over there? But it starts with having a collective mentality of like, how can we win? How can pawTree do great together? How can we get there? Take out the I language, use we language. Okay. Everybody on board with that? Yes. Feel that? Feel the importance of that? Okay. Okay, you want to also during the event, like right before the event, you want to touch back to everybody, whether they respond or not, because you don't know. They might just be busy with their hands tied, be like, hey, so glad you're coming, just making sure you have the proper link. Here's a go. Can't wait to see you. That's all it is, friends. You want to make sure people are there. All right, you ready? Here's the immediately after the event. You want to immediately follow up in the chat with whoever you invited. So glad you were there. What questions do you have? What was exciting for you? What landed for you? Don't start with like, so do you have any, like, what are your worries? Like, if you ask a negative question, they're going to give you a negative answer. Start with a positive inflection, being like, hey, were you so excited to learn about that? What questions do you have that I can answer that we didn't cover? Right? And then they might have some questions. They're like, wow, it really does sound great. A lot of people are going to say, and this is very normal, let me think on it. I'm actually going to cover that from the front. I'm actually going to say that from the front and be like, now, a lot of you naturally are going to be like, let me think on that. And I'm going to solve that objection for you. But there might be some people that be like, well, let me see. It's a really kind of, the kids just started school and we're trying to find a routine and blah, 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 yada, yada. What I find would be helpful is the best thing you can answer them is like, how can I show up or what can I do to help make this an easy yes for you? Because I believe so much in the potential. I so much want for you to win. How can I make this easy for you? And what's so fascinating is they might answer you and say, well, and they didn't know they had this question until you asked them, but they might be like, well, I'm not very good at social media. I'm really, and I'll tackle that from the front too. Might be like, well, I'm really kind of overwhelmed with like how I would even get started. You answer that and say, I'm so glad you said that. We actually have a really amazing training system that is simple for you to plug in, and I will walk you through that. But let's just start with like, I just want you to earn your products for free. Let's just get your pet fed for, cared for, on not on your dime. Let's do that. Would you be okay with that? Start with a simple, sizable goal, because guys, if you're like, let's get your mortgage covered in 60 days, that motivation is fantastic, but they have to secure a small win first. Because if they're like, hey, my goal was covering my mortgage and I only made $200, now they're discrediting the $200 instead of being like, holy moly, I just made $200 online. This is amazing. What else is possible for me? So just be like, hey, the first best goal is, and I have a great plan for you. We have a 7-day content on ramp or whatever it is. You could be like, we have a simple start for you. I've got you. You don't have to do this alone. And this is an earn while you learn business. Isn't that amazing? You don't have to have it all together. Every single one of you should say this to every new potential pawTree or pet pro with pawTree to say, what's amazing about this business is it's an earn while you learn business. We might be pet pros, but really we're just pet advocates and we just know where to point people. That's all. It's that simple. Okay. This is where, if you are in that place where they're asking some questions and you don't know, say, hey, you know what? Because this is an earn while you learn, I'm still new and learning myself. Would it be okay if I included my friend in the chat so they can offer you some guidance and answer your questions? And that is how you tee up the 3-way. Be like, I'm just going to get a friend in here because I know they're a lot more knowledgeable. They're going to answer some questions. And actually, you might really love their story because let's say you're talking to a breeder and you're not a breeder. Be like, you know what? My friend, they're a breeder. I think you'd love hearing their story, but just thinking about, okay, how can I set this up? And then afterwards, don't be afraid to say, are you ready to get started? The worst they can say is no. If you don't ask, it's always a no. Or they might say not yet. If they say not yet, friend, you don't ghost, you don't disappear, you don't go cry in a corner, you don't say, I'm never inviting anybody ever again. That is not what we do. We say, all right, you create a follow-up and follow-through plan, being like, I totally get that. Sometimes I'm somebody that likes to think a little bit before I do it. I respect that. When can I follow up with you? Do you think 48 hours would be a good time to check in? There might be some new questions you think of. How does that sound to you? And they'd be like, oh, I don't know. I'll be like, cool. How about you give me the time and date and I'll follow through on that with you. And so that we can have a catch up. What's happening there, friends, is you're just creating an opportunity to follow through on your word. We talked about that last week. That follow-up is really just follow through. You're just being a business owner of integrity. And they have a lot more respect for you because they're like, wow, you take your business seriously. You take me seriously. Wonderful. And it removes all the awkward on September 9th, when on the follow-up date that they gave you for you to say, hey, Sarah, it's September 9th. This was the day you told me I could connect with you. I've been thinking about you a lot. Have you had new questions or given more thought to the opportunity to partner with us at pawTree? There's nothing weird about that. There's nothing weird about that. It's a posture of service. Okay. So I want to give you a couple reminders. Their answer, guys, sorry about the typo there. was doing this real fast. Their answer has nothing to do with you. Friends, every single one of you, whether they come to the event, say yes to the event, to the no to the event, ghost you or not, it has nothing to do with if you are likable, if you're worthy, if your potential in the world. It has nothing to do with you. That's nothing to do with you. Remember, would you like fries with that? No, thank you. Cool. Supersizing the fries has nothing to do with your personality and your likability. Okay. I want to encourage you to stay curious. Don't get overly attached. When we get overly attached to their answers, it's because we don't believe that there are plenty of other people out there who do want the opportunity. Of course, there's going to be no's. There were people that said no when Apple started. There were literally people that were like, nah, and I don't know how they sleep at night, right? There were some people that said, no, that's okay. I find we get graspy and attached to someone's answers when we stop believing that there are literally thousands of people out there that will say yes. You have to believe that, friends, so that when you hear a no, remember what I've told you. I'm only here because I've collected hundreds, if not thousands more no's than the average person. I'm not here because of the yeses I collected. Anybody can collect a yes. But I was willing to collect a lot of no's. So I just want you to see every no is like, heck yes, where's my no jar? Once I fill up that no jar, I'm bound to get a real good yes. And you only need, guys, one powerful yes with one person who's significantly networked, sees the opportunity, has an online presence, could completely change the trajectory of your life and theirs. One yes. Are you willing to go through 100 no's to find one yes? I hope so. But you're not going to be able to survive 100 no's if every no is a rejection and you take it personally. Your ego won't be able to take it. Okay? So just remember, more conversations inevitably lead to more conversions. So for you, if you're like, oh, I only had one person show up, we have to remind ourselves, it's okay. I'm filling the funnel. How many am I committed to getting next time? How many? And also, I was talking to Amy Johnson, and I know there's a public page that you can always be tagging people on a PBO and not wait until the next live one. You don't have to wait. Be like, hey, I see you're excited. I'm going to tag you on this video. Let me know when you have a minute to watch it. Guys, don't tag the video unless they have a minute. Be like, let me know when you have a minute to watch it. Oh, I got a few minutes right now. Awesome. Let me tag you on it. And then I'm going to check in with you in 15 minutes because the presentation's only 15 or so or 30 minutes. And then let's talk about it. You guys, it's there. It's available. You don't have to wait for me to come in and be like, I'm going to wait until Kristen Boss shows up again. I am not your hero. You are the hero of your story. You are the hero. Okay. The more you talk with people, the more it will compound with time, just like I showed you that graph. Okay. So work time. Here's what I'm going to encourage you to do today, immediately after this call. Go fill your funnel. Go crazy having intentional connection and conversations and make a post. We want visibility. You've been working hard on those conversations. Even if you're like, Kristen, I already did my conversations today. Be like, cool, you got a head start. Let's keep going, right? We're committed to putting in the time. So what does that look like? It could be Facebook pet groups that you're in where you're just like, guys, just talk to people. Don't be a weirdo in there. Don't you dare say like, I have a business opportunity in someone else's pet group. You'll get booted out. You'll never be invited again. Just be someone that's like, that's amazing. Tell me, I have that breed. Do you love that breed? Or what's this? Go talk to people. Go through your friends list and go start 50 conversations. If you're like, Kristen, they haven't posted on their Facebook page in a year. Okay, you don't know. That might mean that they're just a lurker. Be like, hey, or you can, if it's somebody you know, don't be afraid to go in their DMs and be like, hey, I haven't seen you pop up in my feed in like forever. And I went to like see how you're doing. And how are you? You haven't posted in like a year. You never know. Guys, there's so many people that just lurk on Facebook. They look totally inactive, but they're watching. And you might be like, they may not make a good pet pro yet, but they could create a great customer. You just don't know. Okay. So get in your friends list. Don't afraid to search hashtags, pet mom, hashtag fur babies, hashtag pet parents. If you're like, how do I do that? Great. You just go to the search bar, put in those hashtags and start talking to people. For 15 posts, you just go and be like, I'm just going to go talk to 15 people. Because guess what happens is when you make your post about a business opportunity from home in the pet space, and somebody that you commented that has hashtag pet mom, and your post is set to public, because they're going to be like, who's Heather and why'd she comment? I mean, she left a really nice comment. I don't know if I know Heather. Go click Heather. Oh, wait, hold up. Heather just talked about, oh, look at, scroll your feed. Oh, Heather talks about dogs. That's cool. Heather and I both kind of like dogs. That's awesome. Oh, wait, hold up. Heather's talking about this online business opportunity. They may not show up yet, but they're going to start watching and be like, I'm going to watch Heather, see what Heather's up to. This is how it works, my friends. Okay. So again, I'm going to send these slides to the team. They will distribute that to you guys so that you stay fresh. This should be your standard business operating procedure before every single PBO, whether it's a live one or a replay. I'm going to pass it back to Roger and I might look through the comments to see if there's any questions I missed, but I hope this was helpful and insightful to give very tangible actions to how to really maximize the outcomes for tonight.
Love it. And I think, as you guys, I hope you're seeing that we're really laser focused on the actions that you guys are taking, and not just, leaving you out to, hey, everybody work full time. Well, what does that mean? I don't know what to do. If you have any doubt of literally what you can do with those hours or how to do it, put it in the chat right now. We did this last week as well. I don't want you guys to leave feeling like, okay, I'm committed, but I don't know what to do, or I'm committed, but I don't know how to do it. And I think wonderful insights and advice and perspective and training today, Kristen, just absolutely fantastic. Same with last week. Some very actionable things, you guys, that are not just talking about concepts, but literally helping us all, know what to do and how to do it. So if I haven't seen any, but the slides will come, Melissa will send. We apologize. The last couple of weeks, it's been tricky to get the presentation out fast because we've had a problem in getting the recording, but I think we've got that solved this week. So most likely, Melissa, you correct me if I'm wrong, but most likely they will get an email from you today with the recording and these slides from Kristen, and it'll come in one email. Okay.
Yes.
I had one thing I forgot I wanted to talk about. I was thinking of our breeder friends who sell puppies and dogs. And I was just thinking, I know that sometimes there might be the story or the thought of like, maybe feeling like it's wrong to ask people who are spending money with you on a dog to also ask them to spend money on pawTree. You might be like shy or nervous and be like, oh, I don't know. And I was just thinking of this. Or with cats. Here's what I want to offer. I don't know if this is a mindset block, but I feel like it's really important to talk about this, is like when I go and buy a car, or when I go and buy something that's of high dollar amount, every time I go to the checkout, what am I offered? Service warranty, service opportunities, insurance packages, everything that assures the quality of my investment. And when I go to my chiropractic office, guess what's there? All of the supplements that they recommend, because they're like, hey, here's what I can do here, but here's what guarantees. It's quality assurance guarantee. And so when you are doing this truly allows for you to serve at the highest level for people that are investing, because I have had friends who bought dogs and put them on crappy dog food, and then they had health issues. So I want you to just see it as like, this is the holistic package of like, I provide quality assurance for people that buy animals from me. This ensures I'm doing this. And I also think breeder friends, I think I said this earlier, I want to say this again, residual income from every pet you sell is incredibly lucrative, because just being a breeder, You're not making money when your pup is taking a rest. You're not making money if you're, and I know you guys are doing it with integrity and you're not running puppy mills. So there is a limit, there is a ceiling to how much you can make as a breeder ethically with your dogs. And so for you, it's like, how amazing is it to have two streams of income? One stream from the quality of the breed that I sell and I take care of. And the second stream of income is the passive recurring residual income from happy pet owners who have quality assurance with the breed that I sell. So if there's any mindset around that, I just wanted to cover that to give you confidence. Like, nobody is going to be upset that you have a quality assurance product that you recommend when they come to pick up their pet. I would encourage you to have it out, have it displayed, and even have it in your pet contracts. I think there are a couple people like I'm not going to tell you how to run your breeding business. That's for you, but I just want you to know, guys, I was a hairstylist for 15 years. I never felt guilty selling a hair product when I was like, well, you're going to spend $300 with me on a service. You should probably get color safe shampoo and conditioner to stretch out your appointment for another 4 weeks so that you're not going home and washing it with Suave and crapping all over your investment with crappy products. Can I say crap? Sorry. Sometimes I just think we need to say these things so that it really sinks in for people. So I just want you to always see it as quality assurance. You should stand proud behind that. And friends, breeders, this is the huge thing. Huge thing. Are you making money? And guys, this is why I left hair, because I was only making money when somebody was sitting in my chair. And that's when I realized I've got to get out of this. What's a better way to make money? And this business model is the answer, friends. This is the answer.
Kristen, I've got one thing I'd like
Yeah.
to share, and I'd love to, I'll ask you the question now in case you need to give any thought to it, but I'm going to ask if you could also wrap up with any specific call to action for this week. I know last week a big one was those 5 stories per day. That was a big one that we kind of threw on everybody and said, go do it. And but before you answer, I just wanted to share a lot of what we talked about today was driving people to this PBO tonight, getting success out of the PBO tonight, making sure that you guys show up, of course, physically. I have no doubt with our full timers, you know, there may be a conflict here or there, but I expect, I'm sure all or almost all of you will be there physically, but show up with your energy also. Like Kristen talked about in the chat, in your facial expressions, and be there with your energy and show people what kind of a community this is part of, not just, you know, being there and kind of checking the box. So I really hope that you take full advantage. I mean, I don't think, I know Kristen mentioned this last week. So actually I don't have to just not think. I know Kristen doesn't do this for other companies. And this is a huge opportunity for us, for you guys to have Kristen show up tonight, you know, at 7 o'clock Central on a weeknight and take time away from her family and other commitments to pour into us and to pour into this business and to help us articulate to others what she sees about this being an uncut diamond. So I really hope you guys take advantage of that. I think there's a lot that you can do today just based on what she already said to nurture and follow through and follow up with the people you've already reached out to make sure that tonight can be a success. And just like she said, you know, if you get one more person tonight than you would have had in a previous time, that's a success, right? That's a win. And then the momentum that you build from tonight can take you into the next one and so forth. So I think there's a lot that can be done literally still today to make tonight a fantastic success for you guys. And then once tonight's over, Kristen, what other call to action would you have for everybody for the rest of the week between now and when we get together next Tuesday?
Such a great question. Guys, do not think, all right, PBO's done. What now? Friends, we got the whole rest of this week before September 1st. Everything you do this week is pointing back to the PBO, follow-ups, pointing them to it. This week is your week of closing conversations. So this is where you are like, all right, who do I have to follow up with? Who can I follow through with? And how can I point them? Hey, if the live hasn't happened, I can point them back to the replay. I can run this myself. The work is not done. This is your closing week. And then guess what happens next week? Next week, we focus back on like, all right, we're compounding, we're building up the funnel. This is always what we're doing. You're going to start to notice as I work with you guys, you're going to notice a wash, rinse, and repeat. We're going to be filling up the funnel, nurturing the funnel, converting the funnel, Fill up, nurture, convert. So this week is your conversion week. The work is not done, friends. After tonight, you're going back to follow up, follow through, pointing back, three-way chats all week long, friends.
Awesome. Cool stuff. Well, you guys have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful PBO tonight with Kristen. And I can't wait to see your bright and smiley faces again next week. Let's go crush it.
Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Kristen.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Melissa.